We don't talk much about college football here on the channel. I'll cover a big story here and there, like when Vanderbilt and the SEC allowed Sarah Fuller to play football and how ridiculous that was. We'll talk about stuff like that, but there's a reason that I don't cover college football. Actually, there's two reasons I don't cover college football. One, I don't watch college football. We'll get into the reason why I don't watch college football in just a second. But number two, on a national level, there's just not as much interest in college football as there is the NFL and the NBA. College football is a lot like Major League Baseball. It is a regional sport. The rednecks in Alabama, they live and breathe Alabama football. But they could care less about watching Clemson or Ohio State. It's the same thing the other way around. People in Columbus or Clemson, they don't give a damn about Alabama. It's not like that in the NFL and the NBA. Fans of the New York Giants will watch a big game between the Ravens and the Steelers. Fans of the Lakers will watch the Celtics in the playoffs. The NFL and the NBA are much bigger on a national scale. The national championship in college football was Monday night, and it was an abject failure from a ratings perspective. It was the lowest rated championship game in the history of college football. 18.65 million viewers. Now, just for comparison purposes, that's close to the number that NFL gets for regular season games. The question is why? Why were the ratings for the national championship so low? I mean, this is football, the most popular sport in America. You had two of the biggest programs in the country playing each other. You would figure that people would flock to a sexy matchup between Alabama and Ohio State. That was not the case. Most people could care less. But why? Why? That's what we're going to go over today. I think there are several reasons why the national championship game was a dud, and the college football season as a whole was a colossal failure. First, and I believe this is the primary reason, half of the population is sick and tired of the woke political garbage. And that half of the population, most of them live in areas of the country where college football is king. Most of your major college football programs are in small conservative towns. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Clemson, South Carolina, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Penn State, small town. You get my point. The majority of your college programs are located in political areas that are conservative or Republican. The portion of the population that doesn't agree with woke politics. The NCAA, like most other sports leagues this past year, fully embraced woke politics. And it turned a lot of people off. Nick Saban is a king in the state of Alabama. He's the highest paid person in the state. You would think that Nick Saban could do no wrong. Before the season, he participated in a Black Lives Matter march that went right through the heart of the campus in Tuscaloosa. There were a lot of Alabama fans that were pissed off about it. Did a lot of them refuse to watch this season because of that? I don't know. I'm sure some did, but that's just an example of what I'm talking about with the woke politics in college football. What network aired the national championship game this year? ESPN. Now, it's no secret that people are fed up with ESPN. Ratings across the network have tanked to record lows in 2020. They had a massive layoff late last year. A lot of people have cut the cord with ESPN. They just refuse to watch it altogether. Now, before the season, you had Kirk Herbstreit, the face of college football for ESPN, go full-blown woke. He broke down crying on the air, talking about racial politics and how everyone in college football, the whole community, needed to step up. We saw how negatively woke politics affected the NBA. And their teams are in major cities across the country, cities where most of the population, they lean left politically. We had major names in college football this year essentially insinuate that many people in their fan base were racist. People don't take too kindly to that. People don't like being called racist. People don't like to be preached at when they're watching sports. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for the NCAA, but most of your fans are white conservatives. So when you ostracize them, call them racist, tell them that they need to be woke, they're going to turn their back on you. Another problem that I think killed college football this season, the COVID pandemic. And not the pandemic itself. There was nothing they could do about that. The reaction to it from some of your major conferences, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, they didn't even play a full season. Ohio State made the playoffs and only played 5 or 6 games in the regular season. I can't remember how many, but it wasn't close to a full season. You had teams every week lose a lot of players because of contact tracing. You had talking heads like Max Kellerman on ESPN calling for the cancellation of the season in college football because of the COVID pandemic, and also because of the political climate in the country. We're fighting for something right now that's bigger than college football. I said this back over the summer. College football had a prime opportunity this year to change its landscape, to change its foundation. We saw a lot of programs opt out of this season over the summer, mainly the small programs that no one gives a damn about. Schedules were up in the air. Teams were essentially making their own schedules on the fly. The NCAA had a prime opportunity to make this season unique. You could have grouped all the major programs into one league. For instance, take the top 30, 40 teams in the country, put them into divisions, have them play the regular season, then have an NFL-style playoff. No meaningless bowl games. You could have had a competitive regular season schedule for once. For example, Alabama and Ohio State. They could have been in the same division. LSU and Clemson, Georgia and Penn State. You get my point. The NCAA could have given us something completely different this year. Instead, they played it safe. They went with a conference-only schedule. Now, how in the hell is that even remotely interesting? That's what we get every year in college football. I get so tired of hearing fans down south claim that the SEC is the closest thing that we can see to the NFL. The SEC is the toughest conference in football. Stop. Just stop. Alabama didn't play a competitive game all season. They won every game by an average of 30 points. Ohio State was clearly the best team in the Big Ten. The number 2 wasn't even close. Same with Clemson in the ACC. The supposed second best team in the ACC, Notre Dame, lost to Clemson by 24 points. Somehow, Notre Dame still qualified for the playoffs, which leads me to my next point. There is no parity in college football. It's the same handful of teams in the playoffs every year. Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State. You tell me how Ohio State qualified for the playoffs this season after only playing 5 or 6 games. Instead of teams qualifying for the playoffs on the field like they do in the NFL, teams in college football are selected by some committee for the playoffs. All I've been hearing all week is how Alabama is once again the national champions. Champions of what? They didn't play a competitive game all season. It's real easy to beat your opponents when you have 5, maybe 10 NFL caliber players on your roster, and your opponent has 1, maybe 2. College football ratings are tanking because college football is boring. I know diehard Alabama fans like to watch these uncompetitive games, but the rest of the country could not care less. I love football, but I refuse to waste my time watching college football. Why would I want to waste 3 hours on a Saturday watching a 30-point blowout? Most of the games are over by halftime. Teams don't play defense. The game is slow. There's no competitive balance in college football. The NCAA has a major problem on their hands. The majority of their football programs, they can't compete. A team like Auburn, a major program, has no chance competing against teams like Alabama or Clemson. Now sure, every 10, 20 years, Auburn might catch lightning in a bottle, get a guy like Cam Newton, and compete for a national championship. But for the most part, they have no chance because Alabama is yanking up all the NFL prospects. It's the same with LSU. Once a generation, a guy like Joe Burrow will come along and LSU can compete nationally. Then Joe Burrow leaves for the NFL and LSU is right back at the bottom of the SEC. It is far past time we start treating the top 25 or so football programs in the country like what they are, and that is minor league NFL teams. Let the NCAA handle the bum schools like Louisiana Tech, UNLV, Boise State. Put the traditional top programs into a minor league system. Players are paid, there's a salary cap, so teams are competitively balanced, regular season schedules are tougher, there are no games like Clemson versus the Citadel. Now, will this ever happen? No. But the truth is, the NCAA has been ripping off their players and their fans for years. People spend thousands of dollars every year for season tickets, only to be treated to 8 uncompetitive games every year. Players are out there risking injury and being paid nothing, theoretically, while the universities and the television networks are making billions of dollars every year. If a player in college football receives $5 for an autograph, they deem him ineligible to play. I mean, it's the height of hypocrisy. I refuse to watch college football until they decide to change, until they decide that they want to give me competitive games all season. I mean, why would I watch college football when I can watch real football on Sundays with the NFL? The problem is the NCAA is not going to change. College basketball is already dead. College basketball is dead. NBA prospects usually don't play college basketball. They play overseas and get paid, or they head straight to the G League. College football is not dead yet, but it is far from thriving. Most games are aired on ESPN, a network that the bulk of college football fans refuse to watch. And across the country, we only get a handful of competitive games every year in college football. So, NCAA, continue to go woke. Continue to give us 30-point blowouts on a consistent basis. Nothing is too big to fail. Nothing's too big to fail. If you continue to treat your fan base like they don't matter, they're going to continue to tune you out by the millions. That's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Did you watch college football this season? Did you watch the national championship game Monday night? And if you didn't, let me know the reason why. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.